Okay, again, thank you for everybody for showing up today. We wanted to give you an update on our progress with the investigation of the aircraft crash. First of all, again, our condolences are out to the Barnes family on their loss. Earlier today, the engine of the aircraft was recovered. Uh, all of the wreckage has been removed from the scene. It's now on its way to Tennessee, where it will be examined by the NTSB. The FAA is no longer on the scene. They left midday once the recovery of the aircraft was secured. The coroner's office and volunteers from the local fire departments are on the scene in search of any additional possible human remains. We have recovered additional personal items related to the two victims. We expect to be on the scene 1 to 2 more days to examine the soil that has been removed from the earth where the aircraft actually impacted, in hopes of maybe finding some more human remains. The DEC just arrived on the scene. Due to the crash, there is a leakage of fuel oil. So that's where we stand today. Again, we expect to be here 1 to 2 more days, and I'll have Jeff McIntire, the county coroner, also speak.
Thanks, Sheriff. Again, thank you all for being here. Again, my condolences go out to the Barnes family. I've been able to be in contact with representative from the Barnes family, and we've stayed in good communication throughout these past 3 days now that we've been out here. As the sheriff said, the wreckage has been removed, and my team's back there just making sure that we are being as thorough as possible, going through that soil to ensure that we can, the Barnes family can have the closure that they need. So with that, if there's any questions.
How do you know when you're done, I guess? I mean, you're going to be here 1 or 2 days. How do you know you've collected all that's to be collected?
Sure. So I wish I could actually give you an idea of the tools that we're using back there. We've got a bunch of, in essence, man-powered machinery that is allowing us to sift through dirt and giving us, I'm able to work through the difference between maybe a rock and a tooth. So I do have a forensic anthropologist back there. Like I said, she's back there, and she's able to make that determination of dealing with human remains versus not. And the reality is, my team's not going to leave until I can walk away knowing that we've done everything that we can to ensure that place has been scoured, and there is nothing left there.
Any other questions?
Sounds like the plane would be too small to have a cockpit recorder of any kind? Or?
Our understanding is there was no black box.
We saw earlier today a large truck of what looked like wreckage pull out from the site. Was that the wreckage, and that's headed to Tennessee now?
Correct. The flatbed that you saw go out here earlier with the white and green containers, that was the wreckage from the plane.
And all the wreckage is now gone from the site?
Correct.
Sheriff, what's the role of the Sheriff's Department when you have the NTSB and others here as well? I mean, what is your guys' role here?
Well, our role is to, number one, to secure the scene and make sure that the investigation is carried out properly. NTSB is that they're the experts in the field of, obviously, aircraft crashes. We're here to work with them in any way we can.
Are you expecting to be out here a day or two as well?
We will have an investigator on the scene to assist with identifying and photographing and documenting any human remains that should be recovered. We'll also be looking for additional witness statements as witnesses come forward. But again, we will be hand in hand with the coroner's office until the scene is completely turned over.
Are you still looking for witnesses, and if so, how can they contact you if they see that?
Absolutely. They can contact the sheriff's office at 585-345-3000 and just let the dispatcher know that they have information or they're a witness to the crash, and they will connect them with the right individuals.
You talked about it a little bit before in past days, but could you describe maybe the difference between the scene when you first got out there and what stage it's at currently?
I would say we're closing in on finalizing our investigation. The scene, there's been a lot of eradication of soil from around the crash scene. Again, the water is rising in the impact area. Besides that, that's about it.
So that's been your biggest obstacle is the water level, the water table as you're doing your search in the dirt?
I would list that as probably one of the obstacles that we had. Again, like I said the other day, the impact of the aircraft into the earth, the impact area is about 10 foot deep by the time we got to the engine. And the water table in this area appears to be quite high. So as we're digging to excavate the aircraft, we're also hitting the water table.
How are the crews doing? It's a pretty grim task to do this, and they're probably experienced to some extent, but maybe not with something like this.
I think they're holding up well. Again, we're dealing with a lot of volunteer people, like we mentioned at each conference. We've got the Corfu Fire Department, we've got the East Pembroke, Darien fire departments. They're out there volunteering to assist. They're wonderful people, and they appear to be holding up very well. They're very supportive of each other, very supportive of us. I got nothing but praise for them. Maybe Jeff wants to comment on that?
Sure. I think that the volunteers that we've got, one, I'd like to say are some of the most professional people that I've worked with. They're extremely, giving every piece of tissue that we may find the dignity that it deserves. And again, all those remains will be sent up to the medical examiner's office in Monroe County. I would think, or I agree with the sheriff. Everybody is maintaining a good work ethic. We're moving right along. I don't think anybody is, as of right now, being too negatively affected by the situation. And if I could go back to you about the, some of the obstacles, understand something that when that water starts to rise in that hole, we have to worry about even more erosion. So we are constantly having the hole be, in essence, be refilled with dirt. The good news about that right now is we don't have any more digging to be done. Right now we are just going through the soil in which we've already removed, and that's just kind of where we're at right at the moment.
This is something that is not an everyday occurrence. Tell me, how you formulated a plan
Sure.
to be able to attack, what you have on.
Sure, yeah, no doubt. We have had volunteers go to their home and construct things that we have tried to make it easier for us to go through some soil. We literally had about 3 or 4 volunteers from the Corfu and East Pembroke fire departments go home and make a contraption. I can't even tell you exactly what I would call it, but it's allowing us to sort through things so much quicker and actually so much more efficiently. Again, my team that I assembled in the beginning of this, all from having experience with Katrina, with Flight 3407 and 9/11, their expertise in this has really allowed this to go rather quite smoothly, I think. Obviously, I haven't dealt with a plane crash like this, but they have, and their expertise has allowed us to ensure that this investigation is going as thoroughly as it should, as anybody would expect.
And again, we had the members of the FAA that were here at the beginning to guide us on the recovery process and so forth. So it was a team effort led by them at first, and then obviously taken over by myself and the coroner, Jeff McIntire.
On that same note, people might doubt the resources that a smaller county has.
Sure.
Or volunteer firefighting staff, but you guys have been able to pull together and make sure that this scene is successfully executed.
Yeah, so in all actuality, I didn't mean to
No, go
take
ahead.
this from a sheriff, but I've been on the phone with the NTSB countless times in the last 3 days. I am constantly on the phone with the GO team out of DC. She is always giving me different things, different avenues of any type of obstacle that I might come come to. The good news is I don't have those obstacles. The Genesee County Emergency Management's office, the sheriff's office, we just have not had those obstacles except for that water table. That's truly the only thing that we've had, and we have now mitigated that. So when it comes down to resources, I have had every single resource that the NTSB has, or if I were to ask for it, I have it. So yeah, I don't think, we're a small town, but this investigation has been done as thoroughly, I think, as it would have been anywhere else.
What kind of evidence have you sent to them? I mean, obviously the information, but are you sending pictures, or what kind of evidence are you sending to them?
Are you talking to the NTSB?
Yeah.
Sure, you want to?
All of the items that were recovered at the scene that went to NTSB had to do with the aircraft itself, to try to identify any failure on the part of the aircraft or whatever. That's what you saw leaving today. All of that is just strictly aircraft that the FAA is looking at.
But were there pictures taken documenting that?
There was, absolutely. There's photographs, there's video, there's aerial photography and video that were taken. Witness statements have been provided to them. And anything we have that pertaining to the investigation will be turned over to them.
And understand, every time it was guided by the FAA, again, an agent acting as the NTSB. Anything that was removed or anything that was moved, he was there to ensure that he had pictures. We've got the Genesee County Sheriff's Office taking pictures, my team's taking pictures, the FAA's taking pictures. I mean, everything is being done in triplicate. Every single thing that the FAA has asked us to do to ensure that we are doing things properly, we've done. I think every single entity that has touched this investigation has worked well together, and there has not been one issue that we've come across.
No, that scene is very, very well documented. Anything else? Okay, this will probably be the last press conference we do unless something substantial should come to be. Otherwise, we need to wait on the NTSB to give us their findings and conclusion on what caused this tragedy.
So you said that would probably take at least a year or so?
Could take up to a year is what the FAA told me. However, if they get into the analysis of the remains of the aircraft and determine right away, then it would be much shorter. But it could take up to a year.
I'm sorry that I'm late. Apologies. Why would it take that long? Can you explain that? Can you just go over it again?
I would just, again, I've never examined an aircraft, but with the volume of debris that we shipped out there, they need to go through the structural portions of it, all the mechanics of an airplane in order to try to find the cause. Now, again, that's probably a question better for the FAA and NTSB.
How many of the structural pieces of the aircraft were recognizable on site?
I would say to the layperson, not many. To the FAA officials, they easily recognize pieces of the airplane.
But to a layperson walking up, you wouldn't necessarily be able to pick out part of an airplane.
Very few, very few. There was portions of the wing that I think were pretty distinguishable, but not very big.